Hello there everybody, it is Jess and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have got some new books and I'm gonna show them to you guys now. So I've had a couple of pre-orders come through in the last few weeks, and then I also did a little bit of book shopping, which I know I said I wasn't gonna do, but I've just come to accept the fact that I am never going to be able to stop buying books. It is the one thing that I treat myself to often, and you know, it brings me joy. So I'm going to stop it with the book buying bans because there's literally no point, and why am I punishing myself for buying something that's going to make me happy? It makes no sense. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, like I said, I've got some pre-orders that came through, so I'm going to start with those. One of the first ones that came through was the Merciless ones. This is by Namina Fauna. This is the second book. I don't actually know what the series is called, but this is the sequel to the Gilded ones, which came out last year. I think it was 2021 or it might have been 2020, I'm not too sure, but I read it last year and I enjoyed it. It wasn't, you know, anything too spectacular for me. I know a lot of people really liked it and there was a lot of hype surrounding it, and I'm so glad that people loved it. It wasn't, you know, the best fantasy for me, young adult fantasy, but I still did enjoy it and I did see, you know, the potential in it. So when the sequel came out, or when the sequel was announced, I did pre-order it because I am still interested in continuing the series. I think Namina Fauna has a lot of potential to be a really fantastic fantasy writer. This is an African inspired fantasy, and it was about a girl who she lives with her tribe, and when each girl turns 16, they have this test to see if their blood is red or gold, and if your blood runs red, then you stay with your family and you live with your tribe, and you know, you carry on life as normal. Whereas if your blood is gold, you are subjected to a fate that's considered worse than death. But this girl, she got recruited by some woman who, God, I'm trying to remember. It's been a while. It's almost a year since I read this book, but I remember this girl, she got recruited to join this army of girls who were like her, who had gold blood, and they have special abilities and things like that. It was a lot of fun, so I'm hoping that the sequel is going to be a lot better for me. I like to keep an open mind, so I'm not going to make any judgments. I also love the red sprayed edges. The first book has green and this one's red, so yeah, stunning cover as well. So I'm looking forward to diving into this one and seeing how the story progresses. Another pre-order that came through is a non-fiction book. This is A Life on Our Planet, My Witness Statement and a Vision for the Future. This is by David Attenborough. This book, I think it came out last year or the year before. I remember when it came out, but I pre-ordered it in paperback version last year. It came through the mail in May, and yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this one. I love David Attenborough. I don't know anyone in Britain who doesn't. He is a national treasure, and his documentaries on nature and wildlife are always absolutely fascinating. And I know how passionate he is about the planet and, you know, conserving it and conserving nature and doing our bit to make sure, you know, that we can continue on as a species. I know it's something that's very important to him. It has some amazing illustrations in it, and then some amazing photographs as well. And yeah, I'm just really interested to see what he has to say. This is all about climate change, how it's affecting the planet, how it's affecting wildlife, and he also talks about things that we could do to help save the planet and keep it going for as long as possible. So I'm very intrigued by this one. I think it's going to be a very eye-opening read. And then another non-fiction book that came through the post, I think I pre-ordered this during my pre-order with me video that I did back in like February time. It's called Unlawful Killings. This is Life, Love and Murder Trials at the Old Bailey by Her Honour Wendy Joseph QC. So she worked at the Old Bailey. I think she was a judge. Was she a judge? Yeah, she was a judge at the Old Bailey, sitting on criminal cases, trying mainly allegations of murder and other homicide. And yeah, she's basically just talking about what it's like to be a judge in the Old Bailey and some of the cases that she's had to oversee during her time there. Very interested in it. I have become very interested in British law and crime, true crime and things like that, because it's not something I know an awful lot about. I think it's going to be a very interesting read and I'm really looking forward to this one. It only just came out a couple of weeks ago, so I don't really know what people's opinions are of this yet, but I think I'm going to enjoy it. Alright, so the last 4 books on this list are books that I purchased for myself. I took a cheeky trip to Waterstones, why not? And I treated myself to some new books. One of the first ones is Notes on an Execution. This is by Dania Kukavka. This is also signed by the author. There we go. I love signed copies. It's got beautiful yellow sprayed edges, and then it's got this gorgeous green hardcover under the dust jacket. I also really love this cover with the fox. I've wanted a book cover with a fox on for ages, so I'm so glad that I finally got one. It's just this weird little thing that I have. I love book covers with animals on and I love foxes, but anyway, I digress. I've heard really good things about this book. This is about, I think it's about a guy who's on death row, and it says he's scheduled to die in 12 hours. He knows what he's done and now awaits the same fate he forced on those girls years ago. Ansel doesn't want to die. He wants to be celebrated, understood, but this is not his story. We're following perspectives of Ansel's mother, Lavender, when she was 17, and then Hazel, who is twin sister to Ansel's wife, and then Safi, who is a detective hot on his trail. And I guess it's just kind of showing us what happened, why he's on death row, things like that. But yeah, I'm really intrigued by this, and like I said, I've heard really good things about it, so I'm really looking forward to delving into this one. Next, I have got Portrait of a Thief. This is by Grace D. Lee. This is a book that I have been wanting to read for quite a while. I was aware of it, I think it was like towards the end of last year when it was on some lists for 2022's most anticipated releases or something, and it just sounds so interesting. So this is kind of like a heist story. It's a thriller about a guy who breaks into a museum. He basically steals back all the stuff that these museums have stolen from, where is it, China? Yes, so Will Chen plans to steal them back. So across the Western world, museums displayed spoils of war, of conquest, of colonialism, priceless pieces of art looted from other countries, kept even now, and he's going to steal them back. So sounds really fun. I'm really intrigued by this. I love the cover, and a lot of people have been saying amazing things about this. So it's just one of those books that I knew I had to have, and when I saw that my Waterstones had it, of course I had to pick it up. Alright, the last 2 books we've got are horror books, ghost story books. So the first one, ooh, that was good. So the first one we've got is Let the Right One In. This is by John Ajvid Lindqvist or Lindqvist. I have tried to learn how to pronounce his name before filming this video. I spent a good half an hour trying to figure it out. I think it's John Ajvid Lindqvist. I'm really sorry if I've butchered that. But I remember the movie of this. I think I've seen a little bit of it, but I don't think I've watched the whole thing. But is this like a vampire story? This is about a 12-year-old boy called Oscar who's living with his mother on a housing estate. And Eli is the young girl who moves in next door. She doesn't go to school and never leaves the flat by day. She is a 200-year-old vampire, forever frozen in childhood and condemned to live on a diet of fresh blood. In very different ways, they are both victims, which is why, against the odds, they became friends, and how they came to depend on one another for life itself. It just sounds really fun. I've heard really good things about this. I've heard really good things about this author in general. I know he writes a lot of horror, and I know a lot of people really rate the stuff that he puts out. So I'm very intrigued to see how I feel about this. And I love a good vampire story, and I'm shocked that I haven't read this one yet because it's been on my TBR for quite a while. All right, and then lastly we have the English Heritage Book of New Ghost Stories. This is called 8 Ghosts. So this has stories by Mark Haddon, Jeanette Winterson, Sarah Perry, Max Porter. I don't know who any of these people are, but they have all written a short story, and all of the stories are set at English heritage sites. So we've got stories set in medieval castles, Cold War nuclear bunkers, and immersed in the past and chilled by rumours of hauntings, they channeled their darker imaginings into a series of extraordinary new ghost stories. I'm really looking forward to reading this. I'm going to be saving it for the end of the year because that's when I like to read ghost stories. But it just sounded really fun. I'm really intrigued by it. I love that English Heritage has got involved and done something like this, because a lot of people, you know, they do have that interest when they go to historical sites. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. Alright guys, so those are the 7 books that I have acquired recently, and I'm looking forward to reading all of these. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to let me know in the comments if you've read any of the books that I've talked about in this video and what you thought of them, whether you like them or not, if there are any books that you think I should prioritise and get to soon. I always love to hear what you guys have to say. Please leave a cheeky thumbs up if you like this video because it does really help my channel. You can also subscribe to my channel and you can hit the bell button so you will be notified every single time I upload. And having said all of that, I will see you all in my next video very soon. Bye guys.